Hi there everybody, my name is Kate and welcome to my channel, Trenergy Awakens Naturally. I want to talk, wow, my ears just popping right off the top, wow. Okay, so there's a lot going on and a lot of downloads, and I'm actually on my way to work with Earth. That's what I do most specifically when I work with energy, is to work with Earth and in mountainous places, because I live in the mountains. That's where I was called to, that's where I came to, and that's where I've been doing the most healing for myself and learning a lot about Earth magic and animism, all kinds of stuff. But anyway, you may or may not be able to see as we go by, I don't know, doesn't matter. Today is something quite unusual. I don't normally get called to go out when there's a storm coming. You know, I don't generally look at myself as a storm chaser in person or in 3D or 4D or any other D or energetically. However, there's a lot that's going on right now. There's a lot of confusion and there's a whole lot of chaos. The news is absolutely fraught with all kinds of crazy stuff that's happening. And so what I wanted to put out there before I go over to Garden of the Gods, which is lit up, there's rock formations over there and a whole lot of busy work that's waking up, and wow, it has a whole lot to say. So we're gonna go work together. You know, come over and play, Kate. Yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do when I get there, but I was just asked, please pass this message on, that I've been listening. I listen to all different types of spiritual podcasts and YouTube channels, etc. I do a lot of research in religious studies, kind of. It all kind of wraps together after a while at this point. But what I've been listening to most recently, drawn to, was a couple of different readers. They're tarot readers. Some of them cross over with astrology as well. And not defaming or anything, putting any bad juju out there about either process of divination. Divination is a beautiful tool when used properly, and when heard and accepted, you know, properly, and when understood. It can also be misunderstood, misrepresented, and abused. So that's what I'm talking about, is that you have a lot of people that are cloaking themselves right now. As I was listening to these readers, they're very prolific readers, they're very prophetic, and they're seers. You know, they have a great deal of divining gifts and clairvoyance, and the ability to really intuitively understand what they're seeing in their cards and what they're seeing in their eye, and just have a really good, in my humble opinion, very tapped in and very good grab of what's going on a multi-layer kind of experience. They understand more than just, you know, 3D and there's war up here and blah, you know. They understand the complexity, that this isn't just, you know, some little game down here, and that it's just happening up there somewhere, and that, oh, you know, someday it's all just going to end and the good people are going to win and the bad people are going to go to hell and it's all over with. Not the ones that I've been listening to most recently, but what I found was I go in and I listen to whatever I'm led to, and most recently these are readers who, as I said, they use cards, and they do not read specific signs. They call signs when they're in their readings. They will say, you know, this is a so-and-so, this is a such and such. And so if I'm going into a tarot or astrology reading, I look for my sign, either my birth sign or my north node, and sometimes my south node if I feel like I need to, you know, understand that on a different level, or I go with whatever speaks to me, you know, whatever it is. However, typically that's just not where I spend a lot of time right now, or really ever, you know, spending a whole lot of time divining in that way, listening to what other people are getting. I'd rather, you know, really grow my skills. However, those are good ways. They have been very good ways for me to confirm what I'm already finding out, or what I already think I know. So anyway, these people, they are not doing anything except calling out some signs during their readings. And what I found is that, oh, this is a whole storyline. There's a couple of different timelines that I work with in doing some grid work and some timeline work, and some very specific, you know, harsh contracts on some of these bloodlines that, man, that's got some dark yuck on it, and it's a lot of slave contract stuff that it doesn't matter. It's very harsh. It goes back a long way, and there's a lot of karmic baggage, and it takes a lot to untangle, you know, and really work through. However, I have a pretty good grasp at this point of who's who and what players are where, and as pertains to my own personal story, as well as stories that are connected to me vicariously, or used to be, or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts for everybody, but for me, that was part of what my journey was, is picking out, yeah, this isn't even my storyline, this isn't even my timeline, I'm just here, you know, to help break this shit up, because it's bad, you know, or, you know, curse is over. Did anybody read the bulletin board yet? But no, they're mad. So anyway, I was listening, and I've been listening for a couple of days and just kind of chewing on it and going, that's really interesting. And I made a video recently about shapeshifters, and shapeshifters and cloakers they're basically the same thing. Anybody that's spooking around in the ethers, or, you know, in person, they can be, but definitely in their energy, using any kind of magic or divination tool or anything that they're doing. Keep the broad open mind of what people can be doing in the undivine, that any way they're using it that causes them to conceal their identity, to try to close a portal, to try to hide behind something, to try to traumatize a person so badly that they won't know who it is or whatever. What I've found is, listening to these readers, they're experiencing confusion, because they're saying, wait a minute, you know, this seems like a such and such a sign, you know, an Aquarius, for instance, or a Pisces, or a Taurus, or a Gemini, or something like that. They'll say it sounds like this, and yet, you know, we have this. Or it'll be flipped around where, yeah, that nasty stuff, that's not that sign. That's not what that sign is doing, because if you're referring to me, you know, that's not what I'm doing, you know. But it's flipped around, that it's in the wrong position according to cards. And again, I'm not saying that cards are bad, that divination is bad. I'm saying that when you are working with people who cloak, shapeshift, and are full of shit, and know how to work their stuff in the, you know, behind the curtains, they're being exposed, and they're finding more and more ways to try to hide. It's very careful. It's very necessary to be careful as we're listening to tarot, astrology, or any kind of prophecy, or a seer, or someone that we would consider a spiritual mentor, without properly coming inside and vetting that stuff very, very, very carefully, and understanding it for what we're hearing. Because we do have the ability to say, I don't know, that doesn't seem right. However, if we go in assuming that, well, it's my sign, everything is for me, or even the propensity, even when we hear, you know, readers will say, you know, take what's for you and leave what's not, we still might have a real propensity to think, well, it must be, I have to jam myself into this shoe. And, you know, Cinderella was the only one that could fit into that shoe. You know, that was it. Those nasty old sisters didn't fit in the shoe. However, the nasty old sister's shoe wouldn't fit Cinderella either. So it really is a matter of honing the skill very, very, very precisely, that we understand what is for us and what's not. And that, for me, it's become very apparent that, yeah, I can't confirm anything by asking, you know, to have it come through a particular sign. 808, thank you. I've never been real big on that anyway, because things often didn't fit and they were often flipped. However, now it's just like, oh, we're off script entirely. We have whole different signs showing up, and yet it's the energy that it's carrying through that particular signage, or whatever, that particular astrology or tarot reading. It's coming through that particular sign. However, that's the energy, that's the smell of it, that's the look of it, that's the vibration of it, that's the feel of it, that's the actual activity of it. Yep, that confirms that. And actually, I was a little bit puzzled that, you know, I stepped away from a couple of those people. I just kind of pop in, listen for a while, and then step away. And then I found myself coming back to those same two. I went, I wonder why, because, you know, this isn't just really, you know, I listen to a lot of other material, books on audio a lot, you know, Carlos Castaneda right now, I can highly recommend. I listen to that a lot, and so I'm like, why am I stepping back into this realm? And it was to get the idea that, you know, even though these are very skilled readers, they're showing you, they're demonstrating to you, and they're explaining to you, and they're saying to you that this is confusing, because it is. We have currently, at this time right now, we are still under the immense power of the worm full moon, and 2024 is just going to be rocking. It's also Easter week. It's actually Tuesday today, but this, of course, is timeless and will fit, you know, any day that it fits for you. It's just that there's a lot being stirred up. And so if we're going to readings looking for confirmation, or if we're looking, for things that, I personally, I wouldn't recommend people be looking at twin flame readings, and worried all about that and, the love of my life. If you're in that place and you're not experiencing all the chaos, then hallelujah. However, a large majority of people that I'm hearing and seeing and, seeing around me, and watching on, YouTube and channels and hearing on podcasts and stuff are all in this, very chaotic energy and experiencing a whole lot of stuff that, yeah, there might be another layer that we want to look above, the more fanciful, I just want to be here for love, I do too. However, I have to look at what's really happening and what's really going on in the ethers and here on earth. It's demonstrating that it's amping up, and amping up. You're seeing it in Hollywood, you're seeing it in politics, you're seeing it around the world, in terrorist attacks and all kinds of things. And you're seeing it in the energetic shifts. You're feeling it if you're feeling it. But it feels the chaos that's being felt up there is showing itself down here, and people are being exposed. They're being, the mask ripped off. And so why wouldn't it be that those that are working energy, would not hide behind another sign or shapeshift, in another way to start hopping into a dream as someone else, cloaked as someone else. Conceive this however it is that you conceive this, however it is that you can believe this is really, if that works for you. And if it doesn't, you will have moved off of this already, I would hope. But be careful, 1122, as you're going to mentors and guides, it's quite okay. I look to spiritual mentoring as well. That's why I listen to books. That's why, I do a lot of research. But primarily, the biggest mentor is me listening internally to my own energy of what is being said to me. And I personally turn to nature because that's where I've learned the most and where I get the most. But it's not that nature is the only vehicle. If stones, and crystals, rocks, those kinds of things speak to you, please, whatever it is that gets you there, ecstatic dance, psychedelics, whatever it is, as long as it's very governed from within and we're hearing our own voice within our own energy, and we understand that if we know our own energetic signature, most of us know our own signature by looking at it, 1212. However, we don't all know our own energetic signature to know that when that gets disrupted, that's the very moment to say, hold on a second, what is that? Is it a stay and play with this, or is that a, you got to go? It's very important, especially now when people are flipped out and flipped off, man. They are going off into directions of, ew, it's quite ugly and unseemly, and it can cost people their lives. It is costing people their lives. I'm not into, doom and gloom and fear and all of that. However, I'm also not into just sitting around waiting for, the building to collapse when I've been told, hey, there's an active fire, please evacuate, and I just don't want to, I'm going to just deny and pretend like it's not really here, or that I don't see all the signs, around me of what's going on. I would love to believe that a building isn't on fire, except that when I'm on fire too is, and the building's collapsing down on top of me, is not the time for me to get really real about what's happening around me, especially when there are plenty of people, I'm hardly the only person that's saying, hey, you may want to, wake up for realty. There are a lot of people that are waking up, and there are many others that are saying it and spreading the word. And it isn't to disseminate, not from my end anyway. I'm not wishing to disseminate fear or have anybody on edge or paranoid. We got enough of that. I'm asking people to please come inside here and get very familiar with what you are all about, what your energy is all about, so that if you go to a reading, a divination of something, especially if you pay for that stuff, that you're not going to feel bound to trust that as gospel and take it in and accept that, take delivery of it and sign on it and say, okay, I guess that's what it is. Because when we do, we can be signing off and taking into our energy something that we will then be somewhat bound to, because we were willing to put the energy into it and we purchased it, so to speak. We can break all of those karmic ties, of course. It's just that if we're accumulating more debt than we can actually pay pay off, before we get harmed, we've really kind of lost a little bit and taken too many steps backwards. And sometimes it just turns into way too much, and then we end up slapped to the ground in a really, really, ugly heap that could have been avoided if we'd just been a little more careful, a little more hesitant, a little more willing to be disciplined and wait, that do I really hear that message? Is that really what's for me? And am I willing to take the first answer that fits what I want it to be? I don't often, listen to something and just say, yes, I want that to be it, and I'm going to take that. I don't want to just believe something just because, I used to be quite gullible like that, and I just believe every single thing that came out of every single person's mouth, unless they were a known liar, and somebody had to tell me that, usually. I learned the hard way on that. So if you can set yourself free from the mindset that, anyone who's speaking to you, but especially spiritual mentors who may be guiding you, there's a lot of spiritual people out there right now that are hopping around 1515 and looking to, really grab their crowd before their crowd runs away. Their crowd's waking up and saying, hey, I don't know, I don't think I want to be here anymore. I think I got to go. And so you have people losing money and marketing hard. They're really chasing after people saying, well, I can help you. I've gotten more emails in the last 2 or 3 weeks maybe than I have in, the last year, of people that I've never even heard of you. I have no idea where you came from. I'm pretty sure I know who sent you. However, I don't have any business with you whatsoever, but I'm so glad that you can save me from whatever it is you think I'm going through. And I ended up closing my social media quite some time ago because it just got to be too much. Like, no, it's too easy a vehicle for people who are frightened to use things that are very important to people. Spirituality is pretty important to me, and that could be a hook for me if I was going to be tapped in that arena. And so it's a very prime place that we can be sucked into somebody telling us, something, because they have divination gifts, they have divination abilities, but it doesn't mean that they're giving us the most accurate read. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily being straight with us, and it doesn't mean that they're reading things in the most, the most truthful way that would give us the best information for us to go or to stay. And that's not to make any comment on the readers that I mentioned before. Those are very upstanding people. I get absolutely no vibe that there's something out of integrity in what they're doing. It's just that they were even saying, this is just a mess, it's confusing, and I'm pretty sure it's this. And because of that, that was why I needed to jump in and say, be very careful as you dabble around, and me personally, if I'm going to dabble around and want to be exploring and I'm confused, I'm going to take my exploration and my confusion inside to get unconfused first. Let me get that taken care of, that the confusion clears. I can still have a question about something, but the confusion and the muddled, that's a terrible time for me to go into the divine out there, into divination, and ask someone else to clarify it for me, because, oh no, I don't know you even, and people that I know, people that I thought I knew would clarify some things for me, and they weren't being truthful. So it took me coming inside here, and it's just a really hard way to learn. It's heartbreaking, but anyway, we learn when we learn, and we learn how we learn, and if you can use any of that, then so be it. But anyway, I'm going to go up into the mountains and play for a few minutes before the snow comes in. There's something very blowy, windy, and quite strange, but we're going to go storm chasing into it for a few minutes at least. Probably listen to some music. We're going to go listen to some music and transmute some stuff. Okay, cool. We're going to go break some shit up. So anyway, take care of yourselves, enjoy your day, whatever part of the day you're in, and enjoy being in your skin, because you're divine. It really is so fine, and it can help you, guide you, show you, and tell you all the secrets of the universe every single time. It's just a matter of getting to be very familiar with what that voice sounds like before we start listening to the voices out here, because it can get very convoluted in a hurry. So not an urgent, oh my God, careful, just to beware, of where you're, watch your step, heed your step. So take care and be well, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye, my dear friends.